Warning, warning. Two idiots are riding east out of Valentine. Please cover your ears and await further instructions.
Hello and welcome back to Discovering SCP. It's me, Gareth. Just kidding, it's Tanhony.
And it's me, Hosea Matthews. Nothing happens to me ever. And
You stole my bit. You stole my bit where I pretended to be a different individual. See you fucking caught.
Sorry, it's me, darn.
You'll die for this.
I'm sad about some events in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Really?
And I'm also on an island now. I am.
So you still Are you seriously playing Red Dead Redemption 2 all by yourself?
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna be real. I hate playing games with other people now. That used to be the only way I play games. Now, unless it's like a fighting game and like a fun like party setting with friends.
This guy was playing Multiversus earlier today. For the record,
I actually wasn't. I haven't opened it yet. I downloaded it.
He wanted to though.
I didn't open it because no one else.
He was posting in chat like, "Will anyone beat the Shaggy to my Velma?" Ooh.
Also, did you not hear what I just said? Where I said, "Unless it's a fighting."
I heard it, but I chose not to absorb it.
r/the asshole.
AITA.
Anyway, dick fucker. Are we reading something cool like back rooms again, or are we going back to SCP?
We're going back to the SCP wiki, but I do have something I think you might like.
No. Okay.
We're going to be jumping into another canon this episode.
Is it the AI canon? Because Good Day was talking about
It's not, no. This isn't Good Day's podcast, is it? Why do I keep doing this to myself? I'm like destroying... I'm like fucking...
Yeah, I literally...
Deku fucking destroying my body to get out a good bit.
For no reason, too. I was like, get some honey for your throat and try not to talk loud.
This guy, he wanted me to go out into the woods to catch bees so that I could nurture myself on the nectar.
You have to go to like Walmart and you can buy honey.
There's no Walmart here. They don't have Walmart here. There's no honey.
You can go to any grocery in the English Isles and you can purchase a bottle shaped like a bear filled with honey. We don't have bees here anymore either. The planet's in danger. But does
anyone still have bees?
We
don't. They've got extinct like years ago. No one realised.
At the
like all countries was like, you guys still have bees, right?
Yeah, that'd be a good SCP actually. So all the bees disappeared, so they like falsified documents about.
I regret to inform you that this was also a Doctor Who plot point.
And they're like, and that's what starts the Broken Masquerade because all the countries realize no one has bees, and then they find out who's behind it.
I imagine it was man.
Yeah,
but we are here for a canon. We've just that was new canon. 80s and the 80s it's called. I will allow you.
Oh, that's Sumerian's cowboy canon.
Yeah, I figured you would like
that's
this,
all I know about
given your current.
I love. Woo! Even if I wasn't into Red Dead, people don't know this about me. And it's also. It's a weird thing about me because I actually have watched and read very little of the Old West, but I really like Old West and cowboy aesthetic. And every time I say that, some smartass has to like point out about how problematic the Old West was. I'm not saying it's not, but the Old West is a cool ass aesthetic. Am I wrong?
He's not wrong.
Cowboys pulling guns out and dusty.
And if you disagree, then just come over here, partner. Let's talk a moment. I saw you in Blackwater. You were a bunch of fellers.
I watched Fistful of Dollars, and Clint Eastwood had a cigarette or a cigar in his mouth literally the entire movie. I don't think it was ever out of his mouth. It was so funny.
Well done to him. I hope he enjoyed it. You'll be your last smoke, friend.
But we're not here to talk. I guess we are here to talk about the Old West. Okay, how many articles do we have?
Well, we have first this link that is like the Aces and Eights because like there's a little intro bit here that will set up this little universe we're going to be jumping into. So why don't you take this bit while I
will
climb into my Bacta tank.
I have a question, however.
Of course.
One, should we still do those news updates we've been doing at the start of episodes,
or
has it been too long?
We're meant to be doing news updates. Yeah. Extra! SCP 7000 contest starts. Winner yet to be decided. There we go.
7,000 contest has started. Arc 8 finished in ethereal space. I have been working on a secret.
Did you know that the Culinary Institute of America is the CIA?
I didn't even think about that. Is that a real
I
thing?
just saw, like, popped up on my YouTube, like, recommended CAI major in a minute, applied food studies. I was like, wait, what?
I want to join the Culinary Institute of America and be like, yeah, I'm in the CIA. It's no
Yeah, telling me, CIA, what's going on here?
They wouldn't let you in. You're not in America, idiot.
If I had CIA identification, they would think I was, like, some, like, fucking L from Death Note brought in to, like, figure it out.
The investigator, the health inspector.
It seems we have no choice but to enlist the help of cabinet. But anyway, I've stalled all I can. We need to start reading. We're 5 minutes in.
The only other news... Alright, never mind. We'll just read. Okay, so you just want me to read this canon
The little newspaper bit.
Do I have to play the YouTube video?
No.
Okay. The Baltimore Star, Baltimore, Friday, December 6th, 1867. Oh, it's like actually in the Old West. Half a cent. How the fuck do you pay half a cent? Is it a halfpenny? Is that what that is? How do you pay half a cent?
I had to stop it.
The war is over. General Lee surrenders to General Sherman in Richmond. It may be lost on my readers, given the exultation you must be experiencing with the knowledge that you are no longer refugees, but in unexpectedly rainy days, all that separates those who still live from the cold reality of our current landscape. Recall the first Battle of Gettysburg. Rain and wind blanketed the battlefield on that most unkind day. There are still legends of dark riders. The mythical 682nd, which brought death and darkness along with them. Is that a 682?
It is, yes.
Epic. This is a falsehood of the highest order, I assure you. The Union array, under the incompetent General Meade, allowed Lee free rein, and they slaughtered the Army of the Potomac almost to the man. No greater loss of life has ever occurred on this continent, and may never again. To say that our optimism for a quicker end to the war was shattered in that moment would be an understatement, but I would myself be retelling a falsehood if I said that I expected the total obliteration of our fine city before war's end. That it would come within days of the signing of the terms of surrender is itself an appalling fact. I would venture to say that the terms of that surrender border on a victory by the South. With the exception of outlawing of slavery in the southern states, they have given the Union nothing, and the demand that President Lincoln resign his position was only less preposterous than the fact that the terms were accepted. Wait, what? I've been wait, is this an AU?
It is, yes.
Is this like an AU where, like, the South won? What is going on? I'm a little lost.
You've been reading what's going on.
I know, but I you always think that I can't do a voice and focus at the same time.
And I'm right.
But for once, you would have been correct. And, no, I usually can, but I'm still a little fucked up from last night. Okay, hold on. So, timeout. So, what's been going on?
Well, it's the war got more fucked up. There was, like, the mythical 682nd, which fucked up at Gettysburg.
Oh my god. So is it like the war's still ongoing?
Well, don't know. What does it say at the top of the page?
General Lee surrenders to General Sherman.
Above that in bigger letters.
The war is over.
There you go.
Oh, well, if General Lee surrendered, that means the South still lost. It was just like a bloodier war. Wait, and it was already a pretty bloody war if you weren't aware.
I didn't know that. I thought it was pretty peaceful.
The war was nasty business.
I didn't realise it was... I didn't realise it was such a civil war.
They call it a civil war, and it was anything but.
I tried to have a conversation with a guy, he shot me full of buckshot. What's going on?
If you ever had to go to high school in America, you had at least one history teacher that said some corny shit like that. Even now, he boards a train headed west, leaving behind the graves of his family and innumerable Union soldiers. He is perhaps never to be seen again in the civilized world. And so it must be with myself also. The raising of Baltimore was complete and abiding, dear reader. This last edition is being printed on borrowed presses in our nation's capital, and distributed to you in whatever refugee camp you inhabit. The Union has seen fit to give the survivors of the raising a sum of $50 and the promise of land in the West. I will myself go there to find my fortune or my death. As I enter this new period of my life, I would like to thank you for your patronage. If you are to ever find yourself in Riddle, Wyoming, pass me by without a word. I do not wish to be reminded of this chapter of my life. Lol. Hang on, I have to look up how much $50 is worth in 1867. How much is $50 in 1867 to now? That would have been $1,785. So not chump change, but not really enough to redo your whole life by any means. Astounding Tales.
Well, you don't need to read that entire that bit. That's the list of.
Do I have to read a letter from the editor?
Not,
the spoiler
not really. This is just sort of the brief of what the status of this setting is.
So basically, Civil War was bloodier. Lincoln resigned from being president, and there are
bloodier and implied to have been anomalous, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was implied to be anomalous?
Well, there's the war.
Yeah. Yeah, an entire city got fucked up. Baltimore.
Yeah.
Rip.
Imagine if Baltimore was real.
There's a whole song called "Do It for Baltimore." What's the band?
The Winkies.
By All Time Low, of course.
You're an all-time low. Let's get into it.
I am at an all-time low after last night.
Let me send you the first that we'll be looking at today. There's a strange energy on this podcast right now. Well, including what we've just read, it's free. What's free? What is going on with me?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know I said I'd do the heavy reading lifting because of your throat, but I'm looking at how long this is, and I'm thinking that perhaps Sumerian should have said less, because this is really long.
Well, we'll see what time we're at the further we go.
Alright. Also, I was kidding, Sumerian. I'll happily read this story. So this is, now hollow fires burn out to black and lights are guttering.
I'm waiting low. And by Dr. Sumerian.
It's a tale.
Can I read the first bit in my presidential impression?
Yes.
Let me be clear. 11 years ago, our fathers brought...
It's not even a good Obama. Let me be clear.
Let me be clear. Our fathers brought... I can't do an Abraham Lincoln, Barack Obama impression. 11 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this land a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Its portion of the battlefield is where a great man, only 1 year past, laid down his life for this nation. The normal course of our lives has become steeped in death. Engaged as we are in the great Civil War, we lay down our lives in defense of the propositions of our fathers. That equality and freedom has beget strife and discord is a cause for despair. But the land under our feet is proof that we must stand steadfastly beside these principles. This land flourishes, it receives the sun and yields up the fruits of the earth. Only 1 year past the greatest loss this nation has ever known, the land grows. I do not say this to diminish the memory of those that fought here. Great men consecrated this land with blood that will call out to us until eternity falls and we await God's judgments. Yet their loss did not destroy this land. It did not render unto us the fruits of that violence. Like our fathers before us, those who lost their lives here gave their fullest devotion to the principles of freedom. It is in their names that we must devote ourselves fully to the preservation of these principles. We must bring forth on this land a new birth of freedom. We must come together with our brothers and ensure that the opposition of our fathers does not pass forever from this land. That's not an Abraham Lincoln impression. That was just sort of a generic, old-timey politician voice.
If anything, that was...
That was the mayor of Springfield, I'm pretty sure.
No, that was like John F. Kennedy from Clone.
Exactly. It was John F. Kennedy. I have travelled back 7 years ago. To set things right, Abraham Lincoln 1867 remarked at Gettysburg on the 1-year anniversary of the assassination of Ulysses S. Grant and the Second Battle of Gettysburg.
The worst part about this canon is I do not remember enough about the Civil War that I will be able to tell what things are different.
I'm going to assume this
I'll be straightforward now. I'm gonna, there's gonna be something, and I'm not gonna know if that's, part of, what he fucked with, or if that happened.
Carefully, I mentioned the Gulf of California.
I'm pretty sure Ulysses S. Grant was not assassinated. I don't think he was assassinated.
Well, I think I could say that. That's not a big achievement. I'm pretty sure he wasn't too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, going forward, I have a feeling there'll be shit I'll miss that's supposed to be ooh, anomaly. Alright. The sun was sinking low on the horizon when the president stopped speaking. If for no other reason than avoiding an assassination of his own, she thought it was a good idea when he left to reboard the train that had brought him directly to the stage. Private Joanna Kirkland finished clapping and looked around for the newspaperman. That a gaggle of men had followed the 1st Suffragette Brigade to various events had bothered her only in that she went to fight because there supposedly weren't enough fighting men left to conscript. She thought about the president, his speech, and the days to come. Am I echoing in your mic, Dan?
I don't think so.
I am, ever so slightly. I can hear myself.
I don't know why.
The calls of the day.
I have not altered anything that I do. That's just the sound of your voice in your head, because you're insane. Smile.
Yeah, don't fuck with me right now. His speech in the days to come. The second I can hear it.
I can't. Well,
all right, move your mic further away from your speakers, or turn the.
I'm not got speakers. I don't know what the fuck yours on. I got headphones on.
Turn your mic down ever so slightly. Then.
What if you turn my mic down?
Don't you have like a dial on your mic?
No, it's on or it's off.
That's not, it should be a way to turn it down. All right, then just turn down your volume slightly, so I don't come out as loud for you.
Can you hear yourself now?
Testing. No, we're good now. Private Joanna Kirkland finished clapping and looked around for the newspaper. Okay, no, here we are. She thought about the president, his speech, in the days to come. The sack of Richmond had turned the war against the South, perhaps for good this time. In days, she imagined, she would be fighting the Southern bastards in Maryland under General Sherman. She gave only... Is that a reference to Thesham, or am I just, to SCP vision right now?
Let me Google General Sherman, and let's...
See, that's going to be some shit where he's a famous Civil War general, and every nerd's going to be like, he doesn't know who General Sherman is.
I regret to inform you, he is indeed a famous Civil War general.
Alright, well...
Add it to the list!
Don't add it to the list. Anyone who comments then, I'm going to post the nerd emoji under your comment. She gave only a little thought to what she might do after the war. Maybe go back to Pennsylvania. Maybe go into the West.
You're reading, you're in school hearing about, the Civil War, well, someone was certainly a big Aces and Eights fan.
Proceed immediately to Riddle, Wyoming. Stop. Investigate loss of several agents and parcels. Stop. Local law enforcement providing assistance. Stop. Keep logs of all activities throughout. Telegram to Agent Kirkland from the Office of the Union Investigative Unit, 1878. Mark Mayfield and Jim Johnson wondered at the beauty of the eclipsed sun, staring a bit too long at the sky. The hoofbeats of a horse that wasn't hitched to their postal wagon stood out from the sudden silence. Both looked down at the horse's rider. A single man, unarmed, galloped towards them on a black horse. Neither man raised their rifle to draw a bead on the rider. Neither man wished to provoke a violent end, nor appear to be fearful in the eyes of the other. The rider came closer. Joseph cleared his throat. It's a frightful day to be riding alone. What business have you with us?
Arthur, is that you?
The rider didn't... What?
Arthur, is that you?
It's a pretty good Arthur, isn't it?
Do you like my John?
I did like your John. The rider didn't respond or slow down. He was almost upon them now. Both men gripped their rifles a bit tighter. The rider failed to slow. The eclipse was still ongoing, and in the darkness they couldn't make out the details of the man's face. Phillips felt sure, though, that the man was branded across both cheeks and along his hands and arms. The two men relaxed when the rider passed them by. Joseph looked at Philip and shook his head in amusement as the left side of his face exploded outward in a bloody spray. Philip's motion to turn around and face the now-stopped rider was interrupted by a bullet entering and exiting his neck. He slumped over, gurgling a protest. The gunman produced a match from his pocket and struck it near the canopy on the back of the wagon. The cloth lit up immediately, and in a few moments the entire back of the wagon was ablaze. He didn't even rob the stagecoach, he was just violent for no reason. What a piece of shit.
That's how it is in the West.
Damn. That's just Western living. The horses
Welcome to Dakota.
Dakota!
It's like in the Wild West. He's like, welcome to New York.
Well, look at who came on down to Pennsylvania.
We do things a little different here, son.
Either out of fear or sensing the heat, neighed and bolted down the road, carrying the men and burning cargo along with them. The rider smirked under a wide-brimmed hat and dropped the pistol he'd used. It disappeared before it reached the ground. Before the sun began to peek out from behind the moon, the man himself had also vanished. Hell's Own train ride, I surmise, would be less troubling than that which I undertook last night. From sundown to sunrise, horsemen engaged in dogged pursuit of the locomotive. Hidden in the darkness as they were, the men proved impossible to identify. A fellow passenger with more laudanum than sense. I don't know what the fuck laudanum is. Help me, Ken.
I don't know what that is either. I imagine it's like courage.
Google it while I continue reading. Probably. Or like balls. Laudanum than sense spoke of their pursuit as a regular occurrence. The trainmen did not seem particularly flummoxed by the development. Perhaps she recited some truth.
It was the 10% solution of opium powder and alcohol.
Nice.
In a sense, I guess it's courage.
Got him. Regardless, the rise of the sun also brought with it a nearness to our destination that made sleep a forlorn hope of its own. My vigilance overnight has evolved into a sense of weariness that will only be sated after the full development of my day's task. I hope this deviation from routine was not as much of a folly as I suspect. Excerpt from the Journal of Agent Joanna Kirkland, August 9th, 1878. I gotta be honest, my throat is already dead and dry, and we're not even like a third of the way down the scroll bar, Tan. Can I get a drink?
Sure.
Would you entertain the audience temporarily with your bruised throat? Okay, give me one.
We've been through a lot, dear viewers, and there's still more to come. But don't worry, I will be with you till the end. Ain't that swell? It sure is. So I've been having a nice couple of days. I've been off work for a little while recently, and I've just been enjoying myself, if I'm honest. I don't know what else to say, really. I've been having a nice time, hanging out with my friends, some guys in the Discord. I've been looking after my dogs. You may have heard it in the background of this episode already.
You yellow belly son of a bitch.
Micah!
I hate Micah so much, but we're focusing on...
we're going to have to cut that out. He's actually talking about one of our viewers named Micah, so...
No, I'm not. I'm Micah from RDR. Can you stop trying to sabotage my social credit, bro? Bro, we are teens. It doesn't make sense.
I know, it's funny because it doesn't make sense. Bro, we are teens. Problem?
Bro, we are Gleamore.
We're sure going to find him, Kirkland.
Agent Kirkland set one unsteady foot on the landing. She followed that step with another. No one gave her a second glance as she disembarked and dragged a bag behind her containing most of her belongings. It thumped onto the landing as she left the train. Agent Kirkland looked up at the town in front of her and rested her left hand on the pistol at her hip. The town's construction was haphazard, with hasty construction peppering the main thoroughfare. The majority of businesses appear to be performed out of or inside the dozens of tents pitched along the mud road. A cluster of buildings halfway down that road was her destination. Joanna hefted the bag over her shoulder and leaned forward when a bald man in a dusty but expensive coat stepped in front of her and produced a bottle with a bright red and white label carrying the name Dr. Wonder's Miracle Cure-All.
Dr. Wondertainment!
Is this our I was about to say, is this our Wondertainment?
It would seem so.
Is this just ye old foundation? Is that
there's no foundation as part of it. It's like...
Ye old anomaly?
Yeah.
Or I guess what I'm trying to ask is this implying that these, anomalous things have been around for a very long time, or is this it's like the Foundation setting, but in the Old West?
No. Think about it as, an alternate universe. This isn't, a prequel to what we know, basically. This is,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this is an AU where these things exist in the Old West, rather than just implying Dr. Wondertainment's, 300 years old.
Yeah. Well, he probably is 300 years old anyway, but...
Joanna waved her hand and moved to go around the man when he stepped once more into her path. Fuck, can you do a Josiah impression so I can do Trelawney's voice for this? Because that'd be perfect.
Let me think. Good day to you, Arthur.
There it is, that's the voice. He lifted the bottle up as he inched forward.
Good lady.
Oh, sorry. I believe you could... Do you want to just do
it?
I mean,
good lady. I believe you could stand to benefit from Dr. Wonder's curative tonics. Your countenance betrays your weary nature.
Joanna rolled her eyes and stopped. I'm sorry, you have me at a loss, Mr...
Cousin, we may not yet be acquainted, but I have here
He motioned to the bottle with his free hand.
The one thing you truly need, if not desire.
Mr. Cozen, my countenance is no one's business but my own. I have important matters to discuss with the Marshal. If you would kindly remove yourself from my path and inflict your opinions on other visitors, I would appreciate the favor. Mr. Cozen seemed to ponder this for a moment, and then stepped to the side. Joanna walked past him, dusted herself off, and continued down the thoroughfare towards the city marshal's office. Dear Mrs. Kane, it is with a heavy heart and great sorrow that I must report to you the loss of your son. Sergeant Kane was a good soldier and a great friend to those under his command. I feel the need to impart to you the level of heroism your son displayed during the Second Battle of New York. When his position was overrun and those under his command faced certain death at the hands of the Confederates, he led a piercing action through the enemy lines. If not for that bravery, his men would have likely perished. It was brought to my attention that Jacob's brother was also lost in the same battle, but as part of the opposing force. I cannot imagine the level of grief you must feel at this time, and only wish to offer my condolences. Please know that even as this war continues, these lives are not lost in vain. Excerpt of a condolence letter. Captain Malcolm Fisher, The Army of the Potomac, 1867.
I'm thinking you're right. We are not going to get all three of these articles in here.
I mean, I'm doing my best.
I just mean I just mean longer than I. Reading length is different.
Like, goddamn, this guy puts too many words. So if I'm understanding, we're getting a sort of memento thing where there's one. Like, every time there's a line in a yellow, we're getting a new perspective, a la Aetheral Space Lines, right?
Guy who's only read Aetheral Space.
You know what I mean,
some real
okay?
Aetheral Space vibes from this one.
I can't do it anymore. I can't. I need you on my side.
I'm sorry.
Last night, you said I was your friend. I need
That's
you
why
to
I
be
do
on
these
my
things,
side.
to make you stronger.
Have you seen that meme? It's like how to talk to anxious people. It's like pace around for no reason, yell at them, criticize.
Have you seen the one where it's like trip-setting someone and then like, isn't it crazy that hell is real?
Yeah, I think I retweeted that.
It's like replies like, you're going to be like this forever.
This is completely divorced.
And if you're actually tripping while listening to this podcast, I'm now in the room with you.
Yeah, and so are the Hatmen, my strongest soldiers.
They are my servitors.
Alright. Just as Jacob said it, he knew he'd provoked a response he wouldn't appreciate. But he'd said it anyway. Jacob's partner was cooking a snake over the fire at the small camp they'd set up, overlooking the mine. Their horse was already saddled, and the bags along the side were weighted down with gold. The old man cocked an eyebrow and scoffed. "And I expect you think that makes you different." "From," the younger man stood up from the fire, "different from me. From the rest of the poor souls traveling the wastes. It doesn't as far as I've seen, endear me to my fellow man. Something I've come to accept." "You're not special," the old man poked at the fire. "Nobody wants to be different than they was. We spend our lives trying to move forward without letting the air or water or fucking earth we pass through alter us in some way. I'm not talking about alteration. Then what the fuck are you talking about?" Jacob reached down and grabbed his rifle and canteen. "I just don't want to change. Yeah, you and every other poor sod that's walked the earth. But that mine," the old man pointed to the opening behind them, "that'll change any man. There's gold in there.
There's gold in them hills.
There's gold in them hills.
You missed that one.
Try another. A few weeks of this and maybe I won't have to live like a prehistoric." This is us getting the funds to create Tanhoney Towers in 1867.
I remember.
"If we just go to the mine once, Arthur, Darnell, listen. If we just go once, it's the last job."
"I do not want to live like a prehistoric Arthur."
Jacob walked to their house and hucked his canteen and rifle along the side. "This ain't how they lived." "How the fuck would you know?" "I'm just saying, this living feels a bit too comfortable. A little too safe." Jacob mounted the horse in one swift motion. "I figured they'd be watching the horizon looking for danger." "Yeah, well, you ain't got a warrant out on you for murder, so the horizon probably feels a mite more welcoming." I'll accept that as a possibility. But if I don't make the horizon in the next couple of hours, you'll be stuck digging in the ground all by your lonesome. Shit, you make Riddle every night without a hitch. Get fed, get fucked, and get back on the road. The old man winked. And if you think you can convince one of those Bell girls to come back out with you, I'd appreciate it. Jacob laughed and turned his horse to go.
Mission accepted.
My precious butterfly. When the Confederates overran us at Gettysburg, I thought I'd spend the rest of my life searching for the kind of peace and tranquility I had the night before the battle. We were all so certain of our righteousness, yet there I lay in the mud afterwards, trying to come to terms with the loss. I've never told you about that battle, or the horrors that we suffered in captivity. I did not feel the need to lay that burden on your shoulders, yet you have lightened it somewhat. If I'd known then that one day I'd have found one such as you, I could have endured 1,000 years of captivity with those southern bastards, and 1,000 more besides. Even with the war's end, I failed to find tranquility, but my love, you have brought peace to my heart. The house in which our family will be blessed and born is finally built. The arrangements are made with the Jennings Coach Company. Pack up your things and bid San Francisco a fond farewell. The town of Riddle has need of your light. Last night I slept well. I await your arrival and the start of a new life together. Riddle's the town that's like all tense, right? With love and always yours, Conrad Drake. For the sake of my mental image, I'm just going to pretend it's like the Valentine.
Yeah, I was also picturing Valentine, to be honest.
It's a lovely little town.
Riddle town. Would you hit the bank in Riddle? I would.
I would. I need to show you something on screen though. This.
Oh, okay. Sure, by all means.
Professional.
I'm already like
post behavior.
I don't know how you do all the reading. I know this is an exceptionally long tale, and it's not a bad one, but like I'm like dying inside, mentally from all this reading. I don't know how much longer I can hold before I have to popcorn it to you. So I hope you've been drinking your tea while I've been in the.
I ripped a bee in half and suckled it the wound.
I'm suggesting if you can do it quickly, perhaps you should go make some tea because
I cannot
last
make it
much
quickly.
longer.
But I can read.
These British people.
It'll be like Todoroki versus Deku. I don't know why all my analogies are fucking My Hero Academia all of a sudden.
This guy loves. Is it because that I posted that thing of you with like All Might from like 2017?
It might be. Subconsciously, that might be it.
I unlocked it.
Do you know the person you know as Tanhane does not exist. He is simply a reaction to phenomena.
Vigilantes ended. Did you read Vigilantes?
What? Oh, I didn't know, but I heard it was actually pretty good.
It's actually better than the main story, in my opinion. It's pretty good. And it's finished.
Oh. Check it out.
Anyway, we were reading. Sorry. Riddle Town, Marshal Conrad Drake. What?
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad. My Hero Academia. Who's the mangaka for that?
I don't
it's
know.
Like,
Do I give a swag?
Kohei Horikoshi, we'll take our money, please. Thank you. Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Riddle Town, Marshal Conrad Drake's hand twitched. The man on the other end of the bar stared at Conrad with a practiced eye. They both knew this would come to a showdown. The room, previously roiling with noise, was silenced in anticipation. Then, the man on the other end of the bar grabbed his shot glass and downed it, followed by Conrad. The two men continued their stare down while Joanna watched from the front door of the bar, and the man Conrad had been drinking with passed out. The onlookers rolled their eyes and went back to their own drinks and games. Conrad used the bar to steady himself as he reached into his pocket, pulled out a small red capsule, and swallowed it. Always doing something anomalous. Is that his Deadeye pill? Wait, is he taking a red pill? Damn.
He's gonna go down the rabbit hole.
The marshal noticed Joanna looking at his badge as she approached him.
Can I be the sheriff?
What was the voice?
I'll take the load off you. I'll be the sheriff. The marshal, even.
Well, he was the guy that I just read the note from last time, but I forgot his voice.
Well, I'll give him a new voice.
You remember? Alright, go ahead.
Well, Agent Kirkland.
Very different from the first voice. His throat was parched before. Joanna nodded. I went to your office, but it was locked. She paused. A reprobate outside said he was awaiting the conclusion of your business here so that he could be arrested.
Oh, that's just Philip. Man has a propensity for public urinating.
Didn't Philip get murdered by that writer? Or is this a different Philip?
I don't know. Maybe it is. This is that non-linear storytelling.
Yeah, this is too memento for my ass. I noticed.
It's my own damn fault for having Miss Lula cook him his meals. Man ain't never had it as good as he does inside myself.
Joanna picked up the empty shot glass in front of Conrad and examined it. Regardless, I would speak to you in the privacy of your office if you have concluded your business here. Marshal Drake looked at the bartender.
Tell Miss Lula I'll settle up next time I'm in. And thank her for the cornbread.
Oh, that cornbread. Joanna and Conrad both walked out the door of saloon number 19 into the street.
Can you entertain for one moment while I deal with this animal?
Go ahead, deal with the animal.
Sorry.
Just be careful. He used to be human, you know. Guys, I'm tired, beaten down, exhausted from reading about half of this tale. I don't know how much more I can do. I mean, last night, Tanhoney and I got pretty messed up, and I am suffering the consequences of that decision. So please, lend me your strength, and don't hate me if I have trouble with this article. But, for what it's worth, it's interesting so far. I think if I wasn't so, mentally exhausted, I would have an easier time through reading it. But, I like cowboy stuff. And so far, Sumerian isn't disappointing. I like the little changes, like the suffragette brigade's pretty cool idea. And
the issue has been resolved.
I just didn't know about. Was it Rocky or was it the other one? Howdy. Alright, that's the yipping dog.
Yeah, he's old though, so I can't be mad at him.
Oh, Eddie. Mother, I yet live. I cannot tell you where I am.
Me, whenever I come home from work.
I apologize. Abe is not well. We met by purest happenstance on the battlefield in New York. He fought for his home and I for my principles, yet our bond of brotherhood proved stronger than death itself. I do not think the East will be a safe place for us anymore, regardless of who succeeds in this horrid war. My time here is limited. I write this letter only to inform you of our survival, and to impart the news of Abe's health. We will stay here until he is well enough to travel. Please give Iris our love. Wait a minute, is this supposed to be like Cain as in Cain and Abel, and Iris as in the photo lady?
Maybe. Oh, that's a good one, actually. I didn't catch that. That's probably... That's it, isn't it? You're smart.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're probably missing some other people then. There's probably been many references so far that we just haven't understood.
I'm sure Joanna and Conrad are also both people we might not know.
Joanna.
I don't
know what Joanna.
Your loving son, Jacob Kane. Who would be Joanna? Is there anyone named Joan or Jane?
I don't think so.
Joan of Arc?
Oh, of course.
The famous anomaly, Joan of Arc. Jacob Kane could hear the sounds of Riddle behind him as he left. The horse under him rebelled almost as much as he had at the thought of leaving before the sun rose. Still, if he was to add to the deposit at the bank tomorrow, he'd need to hurry. He whipped the horse once and finally got underway. The landscape of Wyoming's red desert spread out before him, and the cool night air encouraged him onward. Jacob crested a hill just in time to see a group of riders on black horses trailing behind the incoming train. Isn't that the... Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that the 682nd Division or whatever?
Maybe. I don't know if they'll be the only people riding black horse in the world, but I don't imagine this would be repeated.
They bought the $800 horse in Saint Denis. They're ready. Jacob's heart jumped into his throat at the sight, and he pulled his horse to turn around. The horse, however, neighed in distress at the very sight of the riders and threw him to the ground. I think something's going on, Tan. Jacob tried to hold on, but the horse ripped itself from Jacob's grasp and bolted away. Jacob grabbed his forehead in pain and felt a slick wetness on his skin. He shook his head, reached for the pistol on his hip, and checked to see if it was loaded. 3 riders had broken from their pursuit of the train at the sound of his horse and were now headed in his direction. He had 5 shots. Jacob knelt down at the top of the hill and targeted the lead rider. As he pulled the trigger, he knew his first shot had missed. He pulled the lever back for the second shot and pulled the trigger. The lead rider slumped in his seat but remained upright. The remaining 2 riders began to fire back at him with their own pistols. He tried to crouch down further, but a bullet caught him in the shoulder. He flew backward and rolled down the hill, screaming in pain. He lay there, only half conscious as the riders drew closer. Then, as the sun's first rays shone over the horizon, he passed out. The town marshal is a drunkard who speaks of inanities as fact. I believe he missed his calling as a writer. The fantastic tales he has spun while we've investigated the attacks have been, at the very least, entertaining. He is currently regaling several prisoners with a story of how he destroyed a creature of the night with feline urine and silver bullets. Following the telling of this tale and the conclusion of my meal, we will seek out a prospector at the doctor's office down the street. Reportedly, this prospector was brought in this morning, half delirious and speaking the name Virgil Jones. Mr. Jones is a known road agent, wanted in the Dakota Territories for stagecoach robbery. If this young man knows where to find Mr. Jones, I will bring him in for questioning. Excerpt from the Journal of Agent Joanna Kirkland, August 9th, 1878. Oh, so this is like 10 years later.
Oh.
Who is Jones a reference to anything?
I don't know. We're not gonna figure these out as we go. I think people are gonna have to point these out in the comments.
Mine was a fluke. Sorry, lads. All right. I lost my place scrolling down to see how long.
It's right after, except for the Journal Agent Joanna Kirkland, 1978.
I'm growing weak 10. How good is your throat right now? Because I don't know how much more of this I can do.
Puts a hand on your shoulder and pulls you away.
It's been hard.
And what? You're like, Tanny, you can't. Your throat.
But your throat.
I'm pretty sure there's a scene exactly like that in like Jujutsu Kaisen.
There's a scene exactly like that in almost every.
No, but I mean, like literally, it's his throat as well. Yeah, the guy who like does the magic speaker, words. Right? Yeah, he's like he actually says like your throat. You can't.
All right, continue.
Bonito flakes. Let's go. Conrad and Joanna entered the infirmary. The floors were covered in blood and a variety of other dried liquids. The whole place smelled strongly of formaldehyde and death. Formaldehyde and death.
Like what they do to preserve dead bodies.
Yeah. Jacob Kane lay on a bed in the back of the room. He whimpered to no one. Joanna turned to Conrad and whispered, "Seems like an ideal situation for a doctor."
"It would be if we still had one. We wired to Cincinnati about the whole mess, but until some enterprising feller decides to come this way, I think we're going to be shit out of luck."
Joanna walked up to the bed of the man and took his hand. "Hello. Can you hear me?" Jacob looked up at Joanna and smiled. "I can, ma'am." "Who shot you?" Jacob looked over at the marshal for a moment before continuing. "I didn't see their faces." "The gentleman who brought you in said something about a Virgil Jones." "Ah, yeah. We have a gold claim out in the desert. All the deposits at the bank are under my name. I was hoping someone could see to them getting transferred." "Where's the claim?" "An old man. Marshal can tell you where." Joanna looked up at Conrad, who nodded. "Thank you, sir." "Thank you, ma'am. You mind if I talk with the marshal a spell? I got some other business to put in order." "Of course." Joanna stood up and let Jacob's hand go. She moved the dust off her shirt but smeared blood across it instead. She stopped for just a moment before composing herself and leaving the doctor's office.
Was she close to this guy? They were trading letters, right?
Maybe.
Or am I misunderstanding?
I think
I'm a little lost.
There's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, just because like she seemed more affected by this random dude's death. I was like, were they talking? I don't think they were, but
Conrad nodded, moved to stand beside the bed and removed his hat. He pointed at Jacob's shoulder. "That's gonna end you." "Yeah." Jacob pointed at Conrad's hunting knife. "Figure you can end it quicker for me."
"Your brother's still an asshole."
See that's a reference to Abel because he's Cain.
"It ain't his fault.
See?
He ain't never been quite right after he died. He knows about you, though."
See?
What do you mean by this? Is this potentially a reference to SCP-999, the tickle monster?
No, it's a reference to he killed his brother Abel.
It's all up for theorizing. Leave a comment down below with your theory.
Me feeling happy for pointing out the most obvious reference in this whole tale.
Alright.
The Yamp.
Conrad grabbed the knife from his belt and plunged it into Jacob's chest. The man's chest heaved once and then was still. Conrad moved to clean the knife for some nearby rags and left the room to join Joanna outside. An hour after Conrad...
Why would you mercy kill someone by stabbing them in the chest? That's an extremely painful way to go. Why wouldn't you just, like...
Have you ever wanted to, like, end someone's life with your own hands? Let's continue.
Honestly,
an hour after Conrad left...
answer that. We don't know who's listening.
I do. But he won't be listening for long. I'm on my way. An hour after Conrad left, the geometry of the room went wrong for a moment. There was a low hum as Jacob's body fell upwards into the air and then slammed back into the bed when the room's geometry became more sane. Abel sat up in the bed where Jacob had just been, cracked his neck, and a black pistol materialised in his hand. Cowboy Abel is actually significantly cooler than normal Abel.
I honestly agree.
So, if you...
way better.
I think they've got a different sort of thing going on with the gimmicks. Like, so if you kill Cain, Abel comes back as from Cain's body, I guess.
And if you kill Abel, I guess the other way around.
Yeah. It's like only one can exist at once, I guess.
That's interesting.
What strikes me as most troubling is just how appropriate your leaving is. I wish you could have stayed. I wish we could have built the family you begged me for. I cannot conceive of what the future holds for us, but I know my future doesn't lie down the train tracks in San Francisco with you. You're stronger than I could ever be, because I can't even try to leave this life. If I could cover the distance between us every night, I would. But it is wrong of me to hold you back if I will not go to where you are. Fly free, my beautiful butterfly. Find love where the world is warm and soft. I like to tell your love to my stories. No one will believe you were as perfect as you were. Excerpt of a love letter, Conrad Drake, 1875. No, it didn't work out.
This guy's a fucking simp.
Damn. Messed up.
How dare he feel emotions for another person? What an idiot.
You some kind of emotion-feeling man. We don't take kindly to your types.
Lily-livered.
I think he's yellow belly, boss. Let's get him.
Hold on, Glenmore.
Yellow bellied.
The sun was hanging low in the sky, but the fire above the mine was untended and burning out. Joanna and Conrad, already dismounted, walked towards the mine entrance. Both had their hands on the guns at their hips, waiting for confrontation.
You got there.
Sorry, I just got a text message.
Are you alright? Do you need us to pause for a
second? No, it's fine. Virgil, I know you're in there. The old man's voice echoed off the walls inside the mine. Take another step, Marshal, and I'll blow your goddamn head off. Is that the Joker?
Is that his voice? Yeah, Joker? He like flips a Joker card in his hand.
Joanna took half a step back while Conrad continued to shout, "This pretty lady here just wants to talk to you." "We're outside town limits, Marshal. You got no call to ask me about anything, pretty lady or not. She's with the UIU. You can talk to her or the next 24 agents they send out here." There was silence for several seconds and a rustling inside the mine. Virgil shuffled out of the mine. He looked at Joanna and raised his eyebrows. "What do you want?" Joanna stepped forward again. 2 weeks ago, a postal wagon on the road to Rawlin disappeared. Where were you?" The old man shook his head. "Here, I don't rob wagons no more." "Can anyone corroborate that?" "Jacob Cain." Conrad shook his head. "Jacob's dead, Virgil." Virgil rolled his eyes. "How long?" "Long enough. I done told the asshole having deposits in his name was a bad idea." Joanna cocked her head to the side and pulled the gun from her holster. "You're under arrest." Conrad's eyes went wide. "The fuck he is? You said you need to ask him some questions. The rest." "If I had a guarantee he's not behind the wagon robberies he's wanted in Dakota." The old man's hands went to his belt. "You better talk her down, Marshal. I'll kill her." Conrad took 2 steps back and pulled out his own gun, pointing it at Joanna. Look, you're new out here, so you don't know the score. He will kill you. Joanna stared Virgil down. How? It's complicated. A 4th voice from behind Conrad spoke up. It is very complicated. This is who could it be? Virgil looked over Conrad's shoulder and saw a man in black with a gun trained on Conrad's back. Virgil pulled his own pistol, almost provoking a response from Joanna. Virgil didn't turn his body, however, and instead pointed at the new arrival. Abel, I need your brother. You'll have him. Eventually. No, I'm...
Why is he Peter Baelish?
Hello, my friends.
Speaking of my brother can make him real.
No, I'm thinking now. You done murdered enough folk to bring the UIU down on my head. I want my share of the goals. 4 of them stood there, guns trained on each other for at least a minute while the sun sank further in the sky. Conrad spoke first. You gonna shoot me in the back, Abel? I'll make it a fair fight. Turn around. No. Abel pulled the hammer back on his black pistol. Then again, you did shoot me in the back last time. Virgil held his gun up higher as he spoke. We don't have time for this, the sun's going down. Conrad nodded and dropped his own pistol. I know. I'm having trouble following this Mexican standoff.
Oh yeah, hold on. So is Virgil the old man and Conrad's the marshal?
Yes.
And then there's
and then Abel sort of wandered.
So they're all doing that thing like The Office where they're pointing guns at each other.
Yeah, just like in The
Abel's
Office.
There. But then also there are writers coming.
Oh yeah.
Unless I accidentally read ahead of you.
So we'll hide until morning and shoot each other then? Conrad shook his head. No, I'm thinking we fight the riders instead. Abel's body untensed a bit. Virgil can't beat them. You can't beat them. I've lost 3 times. What riders? Joanna interrupted. Conrad dropped his gun, as did Abel and Virgil. 682nd Cavalry. The sun dropped below the horizon. The sound of hoofbeats began. Abel, Virgil, and Conrad stepped away from the mouth of the mine and turned to face the riders in the distance. Conrad looked back at Joanna. I suggest you get out of here. Conrad pulled a red capsule out of his pocket and placed it into his mouth. I've always wanted to do this.
Red pills.
He's just having a little fruit gummy. What about the law in Riddle? Joanna said, stepping backwards. You seem to care a lot about the law. It can be your problem now if you want. Joanna wasn't sure what to make of the scene in front of her as the 3 men stepped forward into the night. Abel, dressed in black, pulled a large gun from thin air. Conrad spun the chambers on his pistols to make sure they were loaded. Virgil let his dusty coat fall to the ground behind him and he suddenly seemed smaller to her. He turned his head around fully to face her without moving his body and smiled a crooked, twisted smile. Her eyes went wide as she turned to run to her horse. The full moon rose from behind the dark riders and the 3 men readied themselves for the battle. Abel laughed a bit. So what's the plan, Kondraki?
That's in
there. Oh, yeah, that's one of the doctors.
I don't know. Yeah, I figured. I've heard that name around.
Don't call me that. Conrad paused. You fellas do what you want. I'm going to try to ride one of those horses. The meme is that he once rode 682, so that's a reference to that.
What?
Was it like a meme story once where he... Well, not a meme. It was like a very much over-top story where he rode 682.
I will say, as much as I'm like, this tale's pretty decent, even though I'm having trouble keeping up, I feel like it kind of requires you to know.
Well, that's just like a funny reference. That's not like vital.
No, I know, but I feel like a lot of these characters are probably all related to something, and we only know like 2 of them. You know what I mean? It feels like I'm missing some of the context I'd be given.
Yeah. Well, can I pop this back to you for this last little bit?
Yeah, I think I can finish it off here.
I've clapped into my knees. The rest is up to you.
I'll take it. And then the lights start flashing like all for one. Like we're almost an hour, by the way. We're 4.5.
3 episodes, my eye.
3 articles, you mean, idiot?
Am I still drunk?
I mean,
from yesterday?
This is the second article because you said one of them was just the hub, which we did. Yeah. So we almost got it.
Exactly. So actually, we've done like 3 if you really think about it.
And if you give yourself to the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then your light will rise in darkness, and your gloom will become like midday. And the Lord will continually guide you, and satisfy your desire in scorched places, and give strength to your bones, and you will be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters do not fail. And those from among you, you will rebuild the ancient ruins. You will raise up the age-old foundations. Oh, foundation! Oh!
Oh,
you will the repairer of the breach. Oh, breach! Oh, foundation! Breach! Oh! The restorer of the streets in which to dwell. Isaiah 58, 10 through 12.
Imagine if, like, Isaiah was a real part of the Bible. That'd be crazy.
Awkward. Joanna stepped out of the...
I'm thinking, if you look up, though, you'll see that the Bible actually did predict something else in this passage.
What else?
Let me find the thing I wanted to see.
I am assuming a fountain of youth given the water thing.
What did it say right before you will rebuild the ancient ruins?
What it says before is the water thing.
No, immediately before that. I mean, in terms of the words before those.
Rebuild?
Shh. This is the most excruciating bit. This isn't worth it, but I can't stop now.
Now, what is this?
And those from?
From? That's among you, not among
yeah, but it's addressing us, so it's among us. That was not worth it.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen...
That was a reference to the famous Among Us SCP.
Wow, after that came out, SCP really went down the shitter. I remember when SCPs used to be good, and Bright was epic. Grr. Joanna stepped out of the telegraph office after filing her report. She had already decided to go back to Washington and make her full report there, minus a few details. As she stepped into the street, she noticed Philip the Drunk standing awkwardly outside the sheriff's office. She ignored him and made her way down the thoroughfare. Along her path to the train station, she noticed 2 thefts, a violent argument, and at least 1 dead body in the middle of the street. With no law, the town was already eating itself alive. Still, she had her job to do. She stepped onto the train station platform and noted that Mr. Cozen was still present, though he avoided her. That's Kane, right? / Abel?
I
don't remember who's who anymore. Jake? I don't know. Philip? Though he avoided her. As she waited for the newly arrived
Cozen was the snake oil guy.
Ah. Though he avoided her. As she waited for the newly arrived passengers to disembark, she observed them. These men and women had no idea what was in store for them here. The last passenger to leave the train was a tall woman with a prosthetic facial plate made of porcelain. She carried a doctor's bag with her. She'd seen the prosthetic in the past on the soldiers who'd received facial wounds in the war. She weighed, speaking to the doctor about her experiences of if they'd ever fought in the same battles, but decided to give the doctor a wide berth. As she passed the doctor from a fair distance, Joanna smelled the faint odor of rotting flesh. Joanna stepped onto the train and found her seat. She looked out the window at the town, sinking into chaos, and smiled as Mr. Cozen accosted the new arrivals. When she closed her eyes, she saw the doctor's porcelain face and said, "Is this related to that mask, SCP?" No, it's a tail.
Mom.
Joanna, startled awake, stood up from her... Is that like the sequel to this one?
No, the next one along, I imagine.
Yeah. Joanna, startled awake, stood up from her seat, and walked onto the train platform with her bag in tow. She looked down the thoroughfare, dusted her shirt off, rested her hand on her gun, and walked towards the marshal's office. Oh, so she's going to take over for the town after all?
Maybe, yeah. Well, I would see that seems to be what's happening here, yes.
I will say, I feel like this was a very long intro to the setting rather than a story in its own right.
I was going to say, I like setting the ideas here. This is not something I usually, say. Because I don't usually, it doesn't really, stand out to me usually. I had some issues with the prose here.
Yeah. It was a little too much.
Description-wise, I think the perfect example of my issue is when the riders are coming.
And there's never like an establishment of the riders, what they look like, where they're approaching from. It's just that they turn to look at the riders in the distance.
Yeah, and it's just like...
Oh, they're there?
All we recognize them by are the black horses, yeah. Well, also, like, there's not really much attention put into, like, their appearances, which, to be fair, I'm bad at as a writer, too.
But I just mean that could be like a really striking image. The moon's coming up, these, like, mysterious, like, Nazgul cowboys coming.
But, like, there's a lot of attention put to, like, minor things that don't matter. Like, she dusted her shirt off, rested her hand
at the end, there's this extended description of a doctor.
Yeah.
It feels like...
It's very bizarre.
It's strange choices. I liked it, but I think there were some strange choices.
I tentatively will give this one a good, because I think it's a setup, but as a story on its own, I didn't like it, but I think as, like, the intro to a canon or a series of tales, I could appreciate it. You know, I'm also not one to fucking act all high and mighty. I mean, it's better than either of the tales I've written, but, I don't know. How do you feel?
Well, I just told you how I feel.
5 years ago. Right. It's been edited recently, too, by Ralston.
Well done, Ralston. You did it.
Oh, here we go. At least one of the doctors was the Plague Doctor, because there's a tag for Plague Doctor by the Pighead on the things. Look, I can cheat by looking at the tags to see who all the characters are. Hold on, how do I do that again? We have Abel, Kane, Dr. Kondraki, Plague Doctor. So all we missed was the Plague Doctor, I guess. That or the others weren't tagged.
It would seem so.
Nice. We did it. Alright, well, that was the whole hour.
Yeah.
Honestly...
A fool's errand to say we were reading more than one.
Honestly, like you said, I like the setting, I like the ideas here, but I am not so far, like, enthralled with the setting as much as I could be. But I think if you wanted to do more, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed. I could see myself falling in love with this canon with enough time and tales. How many tales is it?
There's quite a few.
Because I know it was pretty popular, and then from what I understood, because you know you hear things in the SCP community, is that it was dead for a while, but then people brought it back after a contest.
Yeah, there's the life cycle of canons.
Yeah, so who knows? All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. It's time to read some comments now. A little update for you. I should have put in the news at the beginning. So, I have a very long-running D&D game with a couple of my IRL friends. One
this
of them
guy's
got
bragging
married.
that he has friends. It's messed up.
I was at his wedding. I'm very happy for him. However, his new life, his wife has decided that the only time he's allowed to play D&D is at Saturdays at 1:45, which is usually when we do Havoc Moon. So, Havoc Moon's been moved to Sundays for recording, which means we have to record the podcast on Saturdays now, so you have an even smaller window of time to get your comments in.
We let you get comfortable, and now it's time to speed it up, kids.
Yeah, so sincere apologies to all of you regular viewers whose comments probably won't get in this time around. There's only a few so far, because it's been, I'm doing math, like 9 hours since the last episode was uploaded. So I'm really sorry, but that's them's the breaks, I'm afraid. So without further ado, let's read the 12 comments. Yeah. So first up, from Breaking the Veil, which I think is Locke based on the profile picture, says, definitely feel like Backrooms would be much more impressive if it stuck with some combination of a naturalist study notes combined with a survival guide, rather than trying to adopt an SCP-esque framework. That's pretty much exactly how I feel.
I think we said that in the episode as well.
And I think if they do... Tan, remember last night when you said, I'll upload the episode and do it right?
I did.
You put Glenmore as real instead of Gleemore.
Who the fuck is Glenmore?
hey, Gleemore, it's me, Glenmore.
I'm his cousin,
It's his partner in crime. The two bandits.
Yeah. But yeah, that's literally exactly how I feel.
If you have a haunted copy of Red Dead Redemption 2, you may meet them.
Daniel Zackheim said, not gonna lie, another Back ROMs episode would be Pog, as the youngins say. Also, this is my first comment in a while. I actually agree, but I
agree too. It is your first comment in a while.
I mean, I think it would be fun, but I think we would need to vet the articles, because I think we got lucky with our choices, picking off the popular ones, but I think we would try to pick more that go off that naturalist study note / survival guide vibe that Locke mentioned. that we were talking about, because I think that kind of pieces together a more interesting narrative than, like, the kites, for example, that we read.
Yeah, I would agree.
Also, I feel bad that I kind of went in on Dune without knowing it was Dune. I don't think I was too rude about it, but I feel bad.
You kept, like, calling him, like, names and stuff. It was messed up.
I would never. Orchid Stream Quaker Button says, if you no-clip through reality in the wrong places, you end up in the back rooms. If you no-clip through reality in the right places, you end up in heaven.
No.
That's a cool
You end
idea.
up here.
Yeah. In Tanhoney.
Well, you're not listening to a podcast. You're in my court right now.
Lamau. Orchid Stream says, I feel like this episode might be the one where they get off track the most amount of times, LMAO. I would doubt that, to be honest. There are some where we just, like, have no clue what's going on.
I mean, all you have to do is go to the Gombe Chimpanzee War.
Yeah, that's true.
Where we spend them...
Anyway,
I will say what I will say is the majority of the episode off track.
Yeah. Alright, I will now finish reading Orchid Stream's comment. Anyway, what's with all these back rooms, front rooms, side rooms, or whatever? Just leave the room. Go outside. To which Guare said, they are SC people. If they go outside, they die. Hamiltoe said, take it back! Comedy Man Kelp says, upon opening my refrigerator, only to find the inside of it has been replaced by a portal to the back rooms, and a skin stealer lunges out and rips all my skin off. That's not my sandwich. I love Comedy Man Kelp. Dinkle Dang says, Tanhoney's home must be on the 5 level. Whatever that means. And he has a picture of, like, Obama with, like, the jigsaw blush. No, it's just anime girl blush.
The iconic jigsaw blush.
Cute Sweet Corgo says, Anomalous! I pointed him. He's real! Oh my god! Wait, what? Did he show up in the video?
Yeah, he was the guest. You don't remember?
Someone please timestamp where Anomalous was in the last video for me. Edit Bless You Tan, edit Isekai. Let me in! I love seeing y'all so silly and happy. Truly two little guys having fun. Anomalous, show us Duck. Smile. Anomalous, would you please do it for me? Please.
Anomalous.
Please. Put Duck on screen.
Display it.
Aw, wholesome 100, epic Tanhoney. An Anomalous writer says, wowza, it's the rooms that are back. Smile. JTKC says, it's back! Guare, who I think commented literally the second the video was posted, said, OMG, Backrooms real?
You better not say it for my A's mates.
I should have DM'd him to edit this comment. A special about writing for the backroom could actually be very cool, especially since the lack of writing experience in that particular format for everyone here means that there would be more challenge in it for us. Yeah, we could organize a whole thing about writing in the style we're talking about, although that would kind of feel like taking over the backrooms wiki for our own purposes, which, I don't know. It could be fun.
We need more territory.
Anyway, Tan, do you have any closing remarks?
Closing remarks. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. The only person in your way is yourself.
Wow. That's touching.
Thank you.
I have a gift for you.
I know.
My friend just sent me this.
In response to my kind words, Darnell has sent me an image of what I can only describe as the Monopoly Man, standing in front of Big Ben and sipping tea with the text British Moment written underneath it. So that's you can get a sort of measure of our personalities and values here. So I just helped out all our viewers who were like sad, and now he's just bullying me.
He helped them out by just telling them to be themselves.
What do you mean? They were going to be other people. Now they're going to be themselves. What's the problem? Do you not like it then? Do you want to be someone else?
We are co-hosts. Problem? We are podcast co-hosts.
Bro, they are themselves. Problem?
I don't even know what the thumbnail or title is going to be for this video.
I want it to be like...
Think of it, stat.
Like, as close up of my face, but like really smug, and then next to it the text, bro, we are Tams. Problem?
Alright, tell that to Hamiltoe.
Okay.
For now, we will see you guys next time. Bye! Bye.